So I think we can get started. Welcome to those that could make it to this information session. My name is Joseph Chow. I'm an Institute Associate Professor at the Department of Civil and Urban Engineering, focused on transportation at NYU. And so today I'm going to just give roughly around 20 to 30 minutes overview of the MS programs that we have here on transportation. This session will be recorded so that the students, prospective students later on can also view this for additional information should they be interested. We'll have questions and answers after this, but during the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A or the chat box, and our moderator, John Patinos, he will help manage those. So feel free to put any questions in there. Okay, so welcome to this info session. I want to just give a overview about what the transportation master's programs are about. For those that are here, I'm sure you already have some idea about what you want to get out of this, looking into a master's degree in transportation, either engineering, planning, or transportation science. Typically, we see students from two backgrounds. One are the students that have more of a civil engineering or transportation undergraduate degree, and those students are looking for a master's program that would give them greater specialization in this field, or they might be a couple of years out in industry and they're looking to update the skills from prior education. There are also those that might be coming from a different background, maybe more urban or data science disciplines, or other related fields like urban planning, or maybe economics, or some other engineering discipline, where they want to get a little bit more understanding of the transportation domain so that they can apply what they know to the transportation field, because they're very excited and interested in this area. All right. So an MS degree makes a lot of sense for these students because it's not just about the coursework. So we offer advanced courses, but there's also hands-on capstone or term projects for which students can hone their skills. There are opportunities for seminars and networking with thought leaders. There's opportunities for students to enroll in internships with in industry with either private companies or public agencies. And there's also opportunities to conduct research with our faculty at the institution, right? So these are general reasons why any student might want to take a master's degree in transportation. As far as why they might want to come to NYU, there's a couple of different reasons. Here on this slide, I provide an overview of the whole university. It has a well-established history going back almost 200 years. It's quite large. It's in fact the largest private university in the U.S. And many of its schools within the university are top-ranking schools and also growing in rankings. As you can see, some of the sites out there, in fact, list the civil engineering master's degree programs at NYU as number one, based on a number of different criteria. So the fact that NYU is the largest private university in the U.S. Really affords this the set of resources to students pursuing a master's degree, which you might not find at other universities. right? So we have students have access to faculty and students and staff at other schools, right? It could be transportation faculty in Abu Dhabi or in Shanghai, or students might be able to attend seminars at the Wagner School of Public Service, or participate in events hosted by the Stern School of Business, right? So there's a lot of these resources available to the master's students at NYU. In addition, our programs here, specifically for transportation students, these programs are pretty close-knit and they're very flexible. So the faculty and staff, we are not we're not that large of a group, right? It's about 5 to 10 faculty when you consider some of the other associated faculty and other campuses. And we try to provide accommodating course schedules, right? So that students from different backgrounds, whether or not they might be working part-time or even full-time employees that are enrolling in a master's program part-time, can take the courses, right? Because of the flexible schedules for the courses. There's opportunities for cross-disciplinary electives so that students can actually pursue, they can customize the courses that they really want to take to personalize their education. And that's really useful because students can take courses at other programs like at NYU CUSP or at Wagner, for example. And thirdly, the students have very close access to research opportunities with the faculty here. So we regularly work with grad students, particularly with PhD and master's students on our research projects. And so there's a lot of opportunities for students to get involved. And I'll talk more about those various aspects in the following slides. Okay. The location is another major draw, right? So for students that are coming from outside of New York City, this gives an opportunity for these students to spend 1 to 2 years, right? To be in this essentially the largest transportation job market in the U.S., right? It's the biggest mega city in the U.S. Then they have the largest ports, they have the largest transit operations, the highest road congestion and so forth. So there's a lot of opportunities to really learn from the field and get immersed. So these are really good opportunities for that, being in New York compared to other universities. At us in NYU, we have a transportation center that serves as a focus of a lot of our various transportation activities, which include research as well as education. Right, so the C2 Smart Center, which was founded in towards the end of 2016, it's designed for specifically those purposes. Our research looks into emerging transportation technologies and policies, and how we can better fit them into different communities, cities around the country, around the world, right? So our research is a mixed use of these cities of different size as living labs to study these transportation problems. And I'll talk a little bit about those, some of the research projects that we have. But it's essentially serves as a way of bridging the gap between innovation that we have in academia, as well as with private companies and public agencies. So we have a lot of partnerships, which can be very beneficial for master's students that are looking for opportunities to do internships or looking for like a master's thesis topic that they might want to get involved with. Okay, so So we have all those. These are some of the faculty that we have here at NYU that work on transportation, as well as some of our staff at the CT Smart. So the director of the CT Smart Center is Khan Osbey. I'm the deputy director of the center. We have a couple of other faculty involved with teaching and offering transportation courses at both the undergrad and graduate level. We also have affiliated faculty from other campuses. So the three listed here are from the Abu Dhabi campus. We also have another professor, Zibin Chen, at the NYU Shanghai campus. So there's a number of faculty here where we cover a broad range of topic areas in transportation, many around the area of transportation, urban transportation systems. But with each of us, we might cover some other more specific area. So there's a lot of faculty resources available to really draw on for you to learn about specific topic areas that you might be interested in. These are some of the agency partners and industry partners that we've had over the years through the C2 Smart Center. As you can see, it's quite wide-ranging. And so like if you come here for a master's program and you are interested in working in an internship with one of these partners or working on a project that might be related to them, we can try to help make the connections and provide those kind of opportunities to you. All right. So in addition to that focal point of C2 Smart Center, we also have a number of other top tier research institutions within NYU that are involved in some of the transportation research that we do. And so you might find opportunities to get involved either through coursework from some of these other departments or schools, or it could also be through working on research projects, right? So, for example, AI Now is an interdisciplinary institute that focuses on how we can make use of artificial intelligence that involves collaboration with law school and engineering school. The Center for Sustainable Business is a center within Stern Business School that is looking into some of the transportation problems and mobility problems facing workers during COVID. Rudin Center, they are an institute within the Wagner School that focuses on public policy and leadership. Urban Future Lab is an organization within the school that serves as an incubator for entrepreneurial pursuits. So if that's something that you're interested in doing during the master's program, you can pursue that as well. So there might be opportunities to just even stop by their facilities and meet with some of the companies there and talk with them and get some insights on how you might be able to get things started on your own as well. We recently just renovated our facilities, and so these facilities are brand new, just less than a year old, and we've moved back during COVID, and this past semester we've been in person in these facilities and making use of them. As you can see, there are state-of-the-art classroom facilities that allow for both hybrid classes with people in person as well as via Zoom, via distance learning. There's a lot of space available for collaborative work, for meetings, social spaces. There's office space for our graduate students that are funded by our research projects, and office spaces, as you can see here. Okay. One of the top questions that students often wonder about is why, what can they get from, what kind of jobs they can get upon graduating with a master's degree. And so we compiled some of the different types of jobs that our graduates have taken after students that have graduated with a bachelor's degree. You can see they tend to be more industry level engineers. So it could be traffic EITs or design engineers working for companies like HDR, WSP, public agencies like the MTA, or pursuing more graduate studies. Students that have graduated from our MS program within the last 3 years, they've taken on a little bit more advanced opportunities after graduation, right? So some have become data scientists, others have become transportation planners, traffic designers, logistics consultants, and the range of opportunities available to graduates of our master's programs are broader, right? So some people continue working in engineering consulting firms like Arup, Sam Schwartz, ACOM. Others go on to other industries. So airline industry, JetBlue, Lyft. Some have gone on to like Microsoft, Deloitte, right? And others have continued their PhD studies, some at NYU, others we've had and move on to other universities like MIT. And if you've thought about pursuing a PhD as well, with PhD, there's even more opportunities available. So you might be able to pursue an academic job as an assistant professor or a postdoctoral fellow. You might become a senior data scientist or operations research analyst. Right. These are some of the employers that have hired our graduates after they've obtained PhDs, right? So Walmart, Sandag, which is a public agency in San Diego, Google, UCLA, Amazon, Harvard, Apple, American Airlines. Right? So those are some examples of employers that have hired our PhD students. So hopefully this gives you a spectrum of the types of opportunities that are available, whether you're coming from a BS background versus an MS background, so it can help you make a decision about whether or not an MS degree is a right fit for you. I see that there's a question. How could we apply for research opportunities in the program? Should it be explicit? So there are definitely research opportunities at both MS and PhD program. And so with the MS program, and I'll talk more about this later, but let me quickly address it. So we do have funding opportunities that we typically inform admitted students in the late spring, early summer on various projects. For MS students, these are typically semester by semester. We'll have projects where we will need MS students to help on those projects, and so we will send out. We'll reach out to the students and identify one that might be able to help us on those projects and hire them for the fall, the spring. And these would be hourly paid hirings that there's programs at the NYU Tandon School of Engineering focusing on providing these kind of funding opportunities. It's called GSET, Graduate Student, I think, Experience Training, or yeah. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but it's this kind of program allows us to hire the master's students to work on research projects. And of course, there's also opportunities if you wanted to use that research project to kind of develop a master's thesis. That is also an option. So the various master's programs that we have, they typically are 10 course programs, so about 30 credits, and you're allowed to switch out 6 of those credits, which is equivalent to about 2 courses, and switch them for MS thesis option instead. So students that want to do a little bit more research-oriented approach can opt to do that. And so some of the students that we have, they end up they might have a budding idea from a term project in their fall class that they really want to explore further. And so afterwards, they enroll in the MS thesis option, and they get a full-blown thesis topic from it. I'll have a slide showing that later as well. And sometimes this might also be related to some funded project that they're working on, and that they then turn into a thesis topic. Okay. Yeah, feel free to post more questions if you have others, and I can try to answer those. Okay, so let me get back to the slides. So the two main programs that we offer for transportation are the MS in Transportation Planning and Engineering, which is focused more on engineering design and systems. Core courses include travel forecasting, urban transport and logistics systems, traffic operations and control. Some students that take this, some of them might end up using it as a bridge to the transportation PhD program, because the core courses here would coincide a bit with the qualifying exam courses for the PhD. So students are able to do like MS PhD by finishing the MS requirements and then just taking the qualifying exam for the PhD afterwards. Other students might choose to take MS in transportation management. This other option is more focused on management science and analytics. Some similar core courses, but students are encouraged to take more informatics and some data science courses, programming courses. It's designed more as a terminal degree for rising industry leaders. Both programs are offered within the civil engineering department, among other MS programs offered by the department. So you might also choose to enroll in this MS in civil engineering, which also has a transportation option, but I wanted to focus on these two as the main transportation programs that students might be interested in taking. All right, both are pretty flexible. As I mentioned, there's a thesis versus course option that you can take. The electives, so they both have about 5 courses as required courses, and then on top of the 5 courses, you can take electives either from within the department, or it could be also courses offered from other schools. So that can allow you to really customize what you learn, what you want to learn. And the scheduling of these courses offered within our department, at least for these programs, they tend to be in the late afternoon, early evening, so that students that are part-time working or full-time working can choose to take these programs full-time or part-time. Okay. These are some examples of courses that are taken by our students. As I mentioned, some of the core courses above, like forecasting or traffic operations or logistics and transportation systems. There's also behavioral informatics, public transport, data-driven mobility modeling and simulation. These are other courses that are offered by our faculty. Students that choose to take electives from other schools, these might include courses from CUSP. For example, these are 2 offered by CUSP, Urban Spatial Analytics and Big Data Analytics for Public Policy. This third course is offered by the Center for Data Science on Deep Learning, offered by Professor Jan LeCun. And the last one is a course offered from Wagner School of Public Service on intelligent cities with a focus on technology, policy, and planning. Right. So as you can see, there are opportunities to really customize what you want to take to have a more personalized experience. For those that want to have some idea of what you might end up learning, this is a list of sample projects taken from our course on urban transport and logistics systems. This is an intro, graduate level intro class on operations research and industrial engineering applied to transportation problems. And so for this course offered in fall 2020, each semester our students end up with these term projects, and for that particular semester, these are some of the projects that they ended up with. So you can see they're very relevant and topical. So there's topics on e-scooter valet service, there's a food delivery optimization, and in fact, that project, they worked with data from Jardine Restaurant Group in Hong Kong. We had students teaming up to redesign the New York City ferry service, and another one looking at public transit service optimization for Albuquerque. Right, so these are some of the projects available. What are the average class sizes? That's one of the questions from the audience. So average class sizes, it's typically about 20 students in a class. So it's not that big, again, because in this case, we're not looking at like 100 student classes, right? We have much closer ratios of faculty to students. And we're able to, for example, this course in this slide that I'm showing, I teach that, and I do the grading for the course, and I do the grading for the assignments, for the exams, for the projects, and that way I can really offer my feedback, and I meet with the students on a regular basis to help them design their projects and come up with their project ideas. So it's very, as I mentioned, it's very close-knit between the students and the faculty, and yeah, we would have office hours throughout the week and be very accessible that way. Okay. Downsize that. Okay. Some of the research projects that we have currently, these are pretty high-profile projects. So, for example, we're involved in one of the largest connect vehicle pilot in the U.S. As a project team member. This is looking at testing thousands of vehicles with connect vehicle technology on the roads. We also have grant funding from the National Science Foundation pretty regularly. So one of the projects that I'm leading on that is looking at modular automated vehicles. This is, as you see in this slide, is an illustration of what they can do. So we're not just looking at automated vehicles, which a lot of university researchers are doing, but we're looking at further capabilities that automated vehicles can do because they're automated. And so the fact that they can be modular because there's no drivers needed inside each pod makes them much more flexible and powerful. We've been involved with local agencies. So one of the projects that we were actively working on is with the state, New York State Department of Transportation, to help them develop their next generation statewide mobility program. And we've also been developing a lot of simulation-based tools to help in our research. So we have a citywide virtual testbed. You can see that in the upper right corner. It's called MatSim NYC. We've been using this tool to evaluate a host of different emerging technologies and policies, including congestion pricing, looking at the bus network redesign in Brooklyn, looking at the impacts of COVID. We saw that even as early as summer of 2020, we predicted that when the city reopened, the traffic levels on the roads would exceed over the 100%, and the impact because of social distancing and the fear that people had of using shared use mobility would lead them to drive more frequently as as a sign of the change in behavior, as well as how they might also adopt more personalized modes of transportation like micromobility. So we also made a prediction that we were able to see in the data. So we've studied that. We've studied bike share service redesign, region design, and electrification problems. So in this slide, you can see underneath the simulation animation, this graph here is an illustration of using the tool to actually simulate the number of contact exposure that passengers have when they take the A train throughout the line. And you can identify points where there's the highest exposure risk. So when looking at policies to address COVID, we can use these kind of tools to help us. We also develop other simulations, as you can see at the bottom, to help us evaluate deployments of technologies to different service regions around the country and how those would be impacted. And in this small graphic here, you can see us evaluating the largest fast charging hub in the country. It's currently built in Williamsburg in New York City by Revel, which is one of the companies offering their electric mopeds as well as e-bikes, and now they're providing electric rideshare services through the Tesla vehicles. And so we work closely with the local agencies as well as these industry to try to better understand these phenomena. Okay, I'm seeing a few more questions. What are the main student skills that NYU is looking for to developing the research projects? I mean, as far as the skills that we're looking for, the students that we tend to select, they do come from a very wide background, and so we believe that diversity is a key in the students that we admit, and you know, some of these projects that we're showing, they tend to work together in teams, and having that diversity really helps. A lot of our projects, they have a focus on the transportation domain. They also have a lot of the data aspect, and especially spatial data, right? So students tend to have a little bit of that. But because of the wide variety of backgrounds, typically we try to train them in our courses and in our projects. So it's not saying that, you know, we have definite prerequisites before you're eligible for doing certain research projects. But it's something that we can definitely, you know, meet with you to discuss and see what your interest would be. Okay. Let me know if that addressed your question. So let me move on. For the different thesis topics, these are some examples of thesis topics from the last 3 years that I had supervised. So in 2019, one of our master students worked on mobility service dynamic operations with en route transfers. This was actually related to the modular automated vehicles. After he finished his master's, he then went to MIT for his PhD studies. The other next 3 in 2020, they are a range of different topics, right? We're looking at, Shams was looking at emergency vehicle deployments and how downstream vehicles behave in relation to their siren technologies. Nicholas was looking at electric vehicle scheduling for in anticipation of how New York is starting to adopt in mass scale electric buses for the sustainability goals. We've also had a student, Mong-Yun, look at school bus routing because she was interning at the time with the Department of Education. And the question really interested her. And most recently, Patrick, he's currently working as a transportation planner at Stantec, but his topic was on paratransit operations under COVID. So looking at how the classic design of routing these accessor-ride operations, they're very costly, but now they're further burdened because there's the need to consider social distancing and perhaps limiting the capacity. And so he tried to evaluate what that impact was. And that thesis work is, in fact, a couple of these thesis topics have become published or on their way to being published in journals. Okay. On top of what you learn in the courses, I want to emphasize that this environment really allows students to learn from a lot of other less conventional sources. And one of these sources is a student learning hub that was developed by our C2 Smart Center. So this student learning hub is actually student taught. So typically these are taught by PhD students. And so these PhD students might be working with a tool or a technology that is generally not conventionally used in transportation field, at least for like a master's level, but they find that it's a topic that is very timely and students might have interest in it. And so they offer a tutorial. And so you can see some of these tutorials here, one on virtual reality for work zone safety, another one looking at applied data science with Python specialization, right? One on health monitoring for bridges. Some of the upcoming courses that we had include looking at blockchain and cybersecurity. One of my students recently covered a course on natural language processing methods and using that to extract information. Right, so there's really a lot of different courses that you can, and these are short. These are just these are more like workshops that are developed by students for students, and so you can be involved in those. I mentioned earlier that there are opportunities to pursue entrepreneurship if you're interested, and this is a highlight of some of the companies that the Urban Future Lab helps with the incubation. So you can see these are current active companies that they're involved with, not the ones that have graduated out of the Urban Future Lab. And so like if you're interested in entrepreneurship as an engineer, this might be a path that you can take. Is very viable. Okay. And you can see that there are, while there are a range of different topics here, many related to, they're all related to urban, many of them to energy, but there's also a lot of mobility topics. So like Dollar Ride is looking at providing ride sharing networks to people, right? So you can see there's different, like Switch looks at electric vehicle charging technology, right? So there are a lot of companies here that relate to mobility. Okay, so I have just a few more slides here, and then I'll open it up to more Q&A. But as far as funding opportunities, I kind of addressed it a little bit, but let me go into more detail here, right? So when you apply, once you get admitted, the school itself, depending on your application strength, might offer you a scholarship that can cover a significant portion of your tuition. Okay, so this varies from individual to individual, so we don't know what range it is, but it's, for example, if you have a very strong application, you might have 75% of your tuition covered just by scholarship from the university. On top of that, so students that are interested in getting some funding working within the university can do so through this GSET program. This is the one I was talking about. And so we hire students through this program to work on projects or tasks, sometimes helping with grading, sometimes with research projects. This can be up to 20 hours a week. It could be 15 hours a week. It's something that's flexible that the student and the supervisor can work out. And the salary is very competitive. I think it's in the range of like $25 or more per hour. Okay. But I mean, it depends on the, like year by year it changes. So I don't know the exact number. As far as research projects, the faculty can hire you on a project to help on that project. These are two examples of projects that I hired master's students to help with. The first one, quantifying and visualizing city truck route network efficiency. So this is a project working with the New York City Department of Transportation to develop routing tools for them and to try to expand our virtual testbed to include trucking. It's a project where I am working with a master's student currently this semester. He's been helping us on this project. And previously, I had a project working with the bus network redesign for Brooklyn, and I had a master's student helping with that as well. Okay. And the opportunities for getting funding while you're pursuing your degree go beyond the university. So a lot of our students, they just get internships from industry. So these are some example internships, Uber, Stantec, Amazon, Port Authority, who have hired our students while they were still full-time students here. Many of these are, in those cases, tend to be summer internships, right? But some opportunities also exist for internships during the school year as well. For international students that are interested in pursuing an internship in industry, those are eligible through a CPT application that you would apply for, and I believe that's only eligible after the first semester. Okay, but it is a possibility. So maybe not immediately, but after the first semester, you might be able to apply for CPT to get an internship in New York, which it's a really good opportunity because, again, New York City is the biggest transportation employer in the country. For MTA employees, so those working for the MTA, which is the Regional Transit Agency for New York, we have a negotiated discount for the employees. So if you're an employee of MTA, you can actually enroll in our program with a 40% tuition discounts. So this doesn't get advertised enough. So just be aware of that, and if you are curious about learning more, feel free to reach out to us, and we can provide more details to you. Students that are interested in getting involved are not limited to just learning experiences. There's also a lot of activities that are hosted by our students. So there's a student chapter. It's a joint ITE and ITS student chapter. So it's Institute of Transportation Engineers and Intelligent Transportation Systems of New York, the student chapter, joined together as one student chapter. They engage in a lot of different activities throughout the year. For example, this past fall, they were helping with the New York City Transportation Camp, which is an annual kind of like a conference, but it's not really a formal conference where participants can engage in ideas and in really like creating new ideas and talking it through and identifying new challenges and so forth. So so they've been involved with that. They host webinars, seminars pretty regularly, sometimes field visits. If you want to learn more, you can go to either the Facebook group. If you search NYU ITS on Facebook, you would find the group. You can also go to the group website, which is hosted under the main C2 Smart page that we have. The the e-board consists of students from both undergrad and grad level, so it's quite involving. So the the last 2 years, they were awarded Best International Level Student Chapter. So basically, Best Student Chapter at the international level for 2 years in a row. So as that tells you, they're pretty strong group. Okay. Finally, for those that are from outside the city, of course, just wanting to be in New York, I think it's a strong appeal. Many of our students come here because of New York. They want to spend, that 1 or 2 years, that period of time, just living here because of all it has to offer. And there's so much that I try to post some that I'm aware of, but of course this only barely scratches the surface, and there's a lot more other reasons why people might want to come to New York to visit and spend that 2 years here. So if you have recommendations as well, feel free to post those in the Q&A. Okay. Okay. So finally, I want to go through the next steps. So what are the steps to getting into this program? So the first thing is the application is due by February 15th, 2022. For this year, again, same as last year, the GRE is not required, but it helps for the evaluation. So you're welcome to submit a GRE as well, but again, you don't have to. You should hear back from us in March or even earlier if you submit earlier than February 15th with an admittance decision. By then, if you get admitted by the school, you will also see whether or not and how much of a scholarship you're getting from the school. So basically that admittance decision, that letter, will include a financial package from the school. But on top of that financial package, then there are other semester by semester research opportunities, internship opportunities that we can try to set you up with. Right? One of our students joined this past fall, was looking for an internship opportunity, and now he is interning in the senior economist office at New York City DOT. Right? So the admitted students will be added to a mailing list. So through that mailing list, we will provide internship opportunities, scholarship opportunities, social opportunities through email. If you are interested in doing research within the university with our faculty, you can email me and I will try to connect you with the faculty that you're interested in working with. We will have an open house in the spring for admitted students, so that this open house, I think, in the spring is still virtual due to COVID, but we would try to use this to provide more information to students, to admitted students, like virtual lab visits and things like that. And if you decide to go with us, you would need to respond to the offer letter and make a deposit. Admitted students will be contacted in the late spring and summer to start enrolling in courses for the fall. And if there are research or internship openings, we will also share that with you. We plan to make use of a Slack channel that will be created just for admitted students, so that you can also use that channel to meet your peers, meet your cohort, and to help you better transition into the grad student life, or even the NYC life for those coming in from outside of the city, because it could be a big change coming into New York. We'll also host a planned summer virtual get-together for students, for the admitted students, so that you can also get to meet each other then. Okay. All right, so that pretty much concludes my presentation, and I will end it here with my contact info if you need to reach me with any questions, and if after this. Again, this whole session will be is being recorded and will be available on YouTube, and I will share that on my LinkedIn post later on. And,
Joe, we have one last question, I think, from Matilda, who's seeking clarification on the possible deadline of December 1st. Is there a deadline of December 1st that you mentioned?
Yeah, there's an early, there's a priority deadline for you to submit an application. But for like the general applications, it's a little bit later. But yeah, if you want it to be reviewed earlier, you can submit earlier. Okay, other questions? You're welcome. It's close to an hour right now, so we can see if there's any other questions. And again, don't be shy. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions later on that you're not sure about, and I can provide more details to you there. I can even do like a Zoom meetups, or if you're in the city and you want to meet in person, I can be available for that too. Okay, I think maybe then is there one more question? What's the difference between the two dates? Yeah, so I think if you want to be evaluated earlier, I think that's the earlier date. It's like an early admittance kind of date that's available. It helps us because we might get scholarship or like fellowship opportunities that are offered like towards the end of January or like early February, and students have already applied. Those are the ones that we would be able to inform them about those opportunities. So it helps to have something submitted earlier, but it's not the final deadline. So like you can submit later if you wish. Okay. Any other questions? All right, John, I think then that is it.